PCGamer released an article stating that Planetside 2 was an MMORTSFPS, massively multiplayer online real-time strategy first-person shooter for anyone wondering. A lot of players poo-pooed the idea, saying it was over the top. However, at the very least, the construction system has shown us that building good bases and maintaining them requires a good commander. So, has the construction system turned Planetside 2 into an MMORTSFPS? Sit tight as I go through the yays and nays. What I want to show is how many more tactics and strategy are required to successfully utilise the new construction system and the meta it brings with it. Also, quite frankly, the footage you are seeing is some of the most fun I've had in Planetside 2. What is going on here is Ivanu attempting to capture the continent Ezimir. What has happened is 3 bases have been built 1 hex away from the warp gate, meaning they're at 100% efficiency. The hive generators all go towards producing victory points, which when 15 are reached, the faction takes control of the continent, locking it down for your faction and granting a bonus depending on which continent you locked. However, to keep these bases up and running has taken some dedication by the platoon leader and coordination with other leaders over orders chat. The platoon leader here has been making sure firstly that there is enough Cortium to power the base. The Cortium, the crystal resource that ants mine, is used to keep up the sky shields, the modules that make turrets controlled by AI, and all other shields on walls and bunkers, for example. The platoon leader has been constantly talking to the harvesters who are driving the ants and plotting any big Cortium deposits with a waypoint for the other harvesters to follow. This is very similar to controlling harvesters like in any Command and Conquer game. The platoon leader is also watching the map and is focused on the centre of the map. What is in the centre of the map? Well, on Ezimir there is only 1 tech plant, and the tech plant allows you to pull main battle tanks outside of your warp gate. And in this patch, tanks are imperative for both attacking and defending player-made bases. The sieges which would have starved us all of resources usually were thwarted by our main battle tanks sorting and flanking their tank lines. Without this, our bases may have fell much more quickly. This is also one of the near important tactics to breaking a siege that a platoon leader has to take into consideration. A tank column encircling your base is not only damaging the walls, but is also stopping the harvesters getting in to supply you. And like with our front base, we were finally unable to keep the Cortium up, and the base was overrun very quickly, as all of the defences went down. On the other side, a leader attacking may need to coordinate which building or turret to concentrate fire on as they lay siege. Also, placing sunderers and making concerted pushes into weak points of the base is very important. The leader also has to keep thinking about the hives. They may be able to keep building forward bases and be able to place a new base, but without a new hive they are unable to produce victory points. And to get a hive active, you need to destroy an enemy hive. So it is the leader's job to go out and steal the enemy hives to get one for yourself. Some tactics for taking less defended bases have presented themselves. For example, taking aircraft and flying under the sky shields to quickly destroy a hive. Dropping a galaxy full of anti-tank maxes if the hive is placed under a garage, with the aircraft method being slightly nerfed now after they've made vehicles take damage when passing through a sky shield. It's also the platoon leader's defending's job to make sure that these attacks are dealt with. Finally, and most simply, the platoon leader will also try to keep territory near their base captured, and this may mean going up a single lane to the warp gate and capturing bases as they go. And in this case, Ivanu platoon leader is splitting his men between defense of the warp gate, border facility, and the base itself. At the moment, there are problems with the construction system. For example, if a hive is brought online and it is only at 20%, but a platoon leader has just spent half an hour coordinating a base built next to the enemy warp gate that would be 100%, what often happens is the lower hive is team killed, but that leaves neither party happy, not the perhaps newer players having fun with the base building, or clued up veterans. One solution might be to have the active hives always defer to the highest percentage option. The way one warp gate is further away from the other 2 on the map also makes the lattice link system make little sense, as like in Ezimir you can build a hive next to your warp gate for 50% efficiency at the top, but at the bottom it is much less. One way of solving this could be to take the distance from your friendly warp gate into consideration too, making distance from enemy warp gate be say 50% chunk and distance from your own warp gate the other 50%. The only problem being that building a base next to an enemy warp gate is going to guarantee a retaliation, and the ability to retaliate with tanks. If punished too much, it might make the bases less attackable. Another issue is that the location successful bases are put in at the moment are perhaps a little too good, with craters and crevices making sky shield cover ubiquitous. But we will just have to see. In conclusion, on the surface the platoon leader's job is very like playing a real-time strategy game, just with real players instead of AI. However, this part of the game is currently limited to the most experienced players and those who are 1 out of 48 in the platoon leader spot. I have been thinking about going over construction tactics in a guide, like where to place bases, etc. But with so much changing, I might wait to do anything like that. Also, the construction system isn't perfect at the moment, but thankfully the devs are working on it, as just yesterday they released a hotfix making the hive harder to destroy primarily. What does everyone else think? Are we playing an MMORTSFPS, or is that abbreviation rather silly? If you thought this video was tactically executed, hit the like button. If you thought it was one abbreviation too far, dislike it. And subscribe for more Planetside 2 epicness. Until next time everybody, Joshino.